All right, here's a little crash course on how to sell ultimates because Vern is going off on how simple it is. So I wanted to record him telling the story and see if it brings value to other people. If it works.
Yeah. Cool.
So what happened?
What's up, guys? All right, so this is from Seth Kinzer that technically Bert taught us at the CSP Summit in Chicago, but that he learned from Seth.
Okay.
But basically,
You
all
sold
it is,
3 this week, something like that.
Well, I've sold 3 in the last like two weeks, and one of them was a kitchen.
Wow.
So
it works.
Yeah. So I mean, but literally all it is that I mean the reason why we sell homemakers and signatures is because we get excited about those pieces.
True.
Right.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
that's all the reps ever talk about. It's
Right.
just the homemaker pieces, really.
Right.
So if you just change that and you talk about the ultimate pieces and you sell them on that, and then you explain the concept of the ultimate, the signature, and the homemaker, you'll sell more and more ultimate. So all I do is I focus on no matter if it's a new customer or like even an upgrade. When I say like, so this is our complete set, and I know it looks huge and massive, but really the reason why we came out with this is because back in the day, this was the only set that we had, which was the homemaker.
Yep.
And then over time, customers literally wrote in letters requesting Cutco make different pieces.
Yep.
So, for example, everyone loves Grandma's favorite paring knife,
Yep.
but it's too small to use on the cutting board. So they wrote in letters to Cutco, and so they came up with the 4-inch paring knife.
Yep.
And the customer's like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." And then the other thing is people are cutting raw meats, but they were using the trimmer or the petit carver to cut the raw meats.
Yep.
But they noticed it would rip, it would tear, it would take forever to get through. So they wrote in letters, and Cutco came out with the boning knife, right? Just go through just like that, right? And then for like melons, melons are super tough. So they were using like the chef knife and the butcher knife to cut through the melons, and they would just get stuck. And customers like, yeah, they usually get stuck. So they wrote in letters. So we came out with this knife here, which Cutco calls the salmon knife, but we just like to call it the thin slicer. So it looks like a bread knife, but it's a straight blade. It's wicked sharp, and it's also very flexible. So now just imagine slicing through your watermelons or cantaloupes, and then with the flexibility, filleting it right off the rind.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then people cut squash nowadays because they're super healthy, but no one wants to get them because they're super tough to cut. So we came up with the veggie knife. And when people look at this, they think it's like the big heavy cleaver, but then I hand them the big cleaver, and they're like, check this out. I'm like, wow, that is heavy. I'm like, right, but you know how sometimes you forget to thaw out chicken or summer sausage? Like, yeah, like, great. You just grab this and you just crank it right through. This is what I use to separate my frozen foods. You can use this to tenderize your meat, like crack through lobster tail, or like whenever you feel like you're going to break your knife, this is what you bring out. And then you say jokes like, this is the attitude adjuster, this is your in-home security system, whatever. Yeah. But then you hand them the veggie knife, and they're like, oh, this is like nice and light. Yeah. Like, right, so this is like an everyday chopping knife, but then when it comes to squash, you just use the whole blade as leverage to just push straight down. Like, wow, that's really cool. Like, yeah, so then what our customers found is that they were actually getting more value out of these pieces than half the pieces in the small basic set because they weren't using half of those all the time. So because of that, we created the ultimate set. And people that have the small basic set, they literally all worked their way up to this eventually anyway. So that's why we came out with the complete set. It just gives you more practical tools. But then we do have the basic set for people that just want, some basic pieces. Then we have the in-between set that has all the basics plus some of the highlights of the complete set. So depending on your cooking style and everything, what set do you feel will give you the most value over the next 10, 20, 30 years? Wow. And we just got done spending like 4 or 5 minutes on the ultimate. So 9 times out of 10, they're going to choose the ultimate. Right. And this is before we mentioned anything about price, because what Bert taught us was that, if you get them to want it first, they'll find a way to make it happen. Yeah. So on Monday, when I sold an ultimate to the lady, who's married, by the way, and she was saying she wants to talk to her husband, when I showed her the 610, I was like, what's great about that is for most families, that's a trip to Costco. And she literally said, yeah, it's at least that. Yeah. I'm like, right. And what Fonz, said is that, but the thing with grocery shopping is that you have to do that every month forever. Yep. But with Cutco, you just do this for 5 months and you're done forever, and that's it. Yeah. And so it just clicked with her, and she wanted to get it, and so she got it. Wow. So if if you do that, you're not going to sell an ultimate every time, but you're going to sell more of them. Right.
So what about in the demo? When would you bring that up?
During the names and uses. I would
Yep.
literally just change the names and uses to
Yep.
like
All those,
the ultimate pieces.
Yep.
Still teach the reps,
Yep.
all the pieces in training.
If someone's big, like going for a big push, who's already over 10K and knows the basics.
I would literally say use this as the basics. Honestly, I would.
Okay.
That's just me.
Okay.
Because if you teach them in basic training, it's not going to be basic. That's
Right.
what Drew Frank says. But in my opinion, if they talk about those pieces
Yep.
and they say exactly that,
That's good.
and then they explain
Yeah.
the sets, because even though they
That's
may
good.
not know what like a butcher knife or a carving set does, Mr. and Mrs. Jones knows what they do.
Yeah.
Right? So they can just look at it like, I don't have to walk through these 9 pieces or these 8 pieces because you know what this butcher knife is for, you know what this carving set's for, you know what this trimmer is for, this spatula, hello, right?
Yeah.
So if they focus on the pieces that no one ever talks about, then that's it.
Wow.
That's my belief.
Huge for upgrades too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's how you do ultimate upgrades, because everyone basically has a homemaker, and Nick Snyder taught us this around last year sometime, where you're like, everyone basically has the homemaker, so you just say like, yeah, it's great, but people aren't using half the set all the time because they're bigger knives that they don't want to use, so they wrote in letters and then blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right? But the key phrase is that what customers found is that they were using these newer pieces a lot more than half the set they currently own. Because that eliminates the objection of, well, I already have a set of knives, or I don't even use what I already have.
Yeah.
That completely eliminates that.
It's good. Wow.
I would
sell some
teach
ultimates.
that. I would teach that right away. That's just me, though.
Okay. Thanks, Vern.
Yeah, of course.
All right. The
You're all week.
impromptu teaching. That's great.